Hello everyone, my name is Lady Calamere. Welcome to my channel. I am doing my 231st presentation and it will be on the god Baldur. And behind me is Charlie O'Barley. Doing one of the things that he does best is sleep. His other best thing that he does is eat. Hence the name Sleep and Eat for him. But anyways, Baldur name, well, the transliterations and translations and meanings differ because scholars can't seem to agree. His name could mean the bright one, the shining god, but also comes from a name bold or brave. Bold, B-O-L-D, not B-A-L-D, but bold. And the bold and brave doesn't seem to fit with Snorri Sturluson's depiction of him. So you got two major depictions of him, of who he is. You got Saxo Grammaticus, and then A History of the Danes depiction of him, and Snorri Sturluson and the Prose Edda depiction of it. And these are two totally, as if they were almost two totally different gods. It's like as if Baldur is from one multiverse and the other Baldur is from another multiverse. But these stories, you gotta understand, they weren't written down by pagans. These were written down during the Christianization by two different authors, major authors, Saxo Grammaticus and Snorri Sturluson, and they were Christians, and they both had their agendas. And these stories, the reason why they kind of differ really big time, is these two authors had their own agendas, being it political, religious, and biases. So Saxo Grammaticus took a lot of shots at the gods, made them pretty much assholes at times, pretty much. And that they were people and they should not be worshipped. And Saxo Grammaticus went on about how the shameful history of the Danes was the worship of these people as gods. So Euphuism, turning our gods into people. And Saxo Grammaticus did not cast Baldur into a good light, where Snorri Sturluson cast Baldur into the Norse Jesus. Sorry, I think I got a little acid reflux when I said the Norse. I'm so bad, but you're gonna see why. And Snorri Sturluson pretty much neutered him. And the way he took his warrior balls off him, where Saxo Grammaticus kept him as a warrior. So here we see Baldur, brave, kind of fitting. So where do we stand as pagans? Well, even some pagans like to, I don't know, sometimes make shit up, or you got personal gnosis or unconfirmed personal gnosis, but somewhere between Saxo Grammaticus and Snorri Sturluson, there is lots of truth about Baldur. Now, I hate saying, oh, this god only deals with love, and this goddess only deals with war. That I hate pigeonholing our gods. I do not like putting them in neat packages. That's the thing that was done later on during the Christian times. Well, this because they didn't understand, because their God rules everything pretty much except for anything evil. That's the devil's work. So basically, the Christian idea: anything good comes from God, and anything bad comes from the devil. So, but anyways, Saxo Grammaticus was kind of apologetic with what he said. He says, "Well, the Danes worshipped these gods, but the Romans, they fell for the same thing too, worshiping these horrible beings, these entities or people, and made them into gods, which was naughty, naughty, because there's only one God." So Snorri Sturluson casted Baldur as this kind, loving, I guess what you would say hippie, and, peace and love, man, where he is the victim and is basically murdered. And at the end of which starts the events of Ragnarok, and at the end of days, when it restarts again, Baldur rises from the underworld along with his brother Hoder, who killed him by accident because of Loki and Snorri Sturluson's. And of course, Baldur takes over from where his father was. He takes the throne along with Hoder. So it's sort of like he's the Jesus figure. Guess who is the devil figure in Snorri Sturluson's? You guess it, it was Loki. But in Saxo Grammaticus, Baldur is a warrior. And in his story, it's Hoder who you root for. It's the blind god in quotations, and the dark god who you're rooting for. And the funeral is totally different from Saxo Grammaticus and Snorri Sturluson. And also in Saxo Grammaticus, Loki had nothing, absolutely nothing to do with the death of Baldur. And Loki's nowhere to be seen in that episode. But we do see that Hoder is killed in revenge by someone. And in Snorri Sturluson's story, it's Vali, who is the son of Odin, and within one day he kills, at birth, he kills Hoder. So there's a lot of things that are missing. So anyways, so let's get into his color. Gold. The yellow spectrum. Yellow gold spectrum. Shining white. Like burning magnesium white. So those are the main colors associated with him. There are things called Baldur's eyebrows, and that includes like mayweed and valerian. But you also have flowers associated with him, that daisies and chamomile and yarrow that are associated with him. So as you can see how I'm pronouncing his name is Baldur. A soft E and a rolled R. If you can't roll your R's, that's cool. But if you pronounce him Baldur, that's between you and the god. But the way he was pronounced was Baldur. So this god, let's talk about him and what he deals with. Well, he's going to deal with life as well as death. He's also one of the death deities. And yes, there are more death deities in the Norse. It's not just Hela. I mean, you got Freya, you got Odin. So you also have Baldur, who sits in a high place of honor with the daughter of Loki, Hel. And Baldur is a seer, and now he's moving from Asgard to Helheim. So why worship a dead god? That's what I've got. What can Baldur do for you now? Again, in the deities, dead is not dead. It's a change. And yes, he does communicate with those who worship him and talk to him. And there are many gods and different goddesses that dealt with dying and the dead, and that, or live in the realm of the dead, that are still worshipped, whether they died or not. I mean, you got goddesses like Ereshkigal that is worshipped. You got gods such as Hades, who is worshipped. I mean, Christians have their Jesus, in which Snorri turned Baldur into the sacrificial victim. So he deals with the dead. He is said to be a guide. He is also said to be a guiding light for those who are crossing over, and that he is said not to even greet those who die, where they have a place of honor too, in Helheim. So he's also the god of lamentations and mourning for the dead. He also deals with the part of waking, using a wake for the dead and funeral. So he is modern heathenry and paganry. We can use him as such, and he is described as such, as God who is with the dead. So he is one of the God who deals with the dead. But another side to him is God dealing with life and light and joy. He is one of the solar gods. He is not the sun, but he is like the shining illumination. He is like the light and joy and happiness. This is not a traditional image of him, but I pretty much turned him, fixed up this Viking and turned him into Baldur. He is also a god to help you to move on when you're in mourning. He is also a god to also change your luck. As I like the little coins here. So Baldur is, like I said, the son of Frigg and Odin. He deals with also friendship and reconciliation. So he's going to help with that. And this whole god of purity. I hate to say where this comes from, but this comes from Snorri Sturluson's turning him into the Christ-like figure. He's the god of purity and light, Lord of light, and he's completely kind and sweet, and he wouldn't hurt a fly. But in the Loki Senna, and I'm going to contradict this, in the Loki Senna, when Loki, when Loki Senna is basically the poem of Loki, and where Loki crashes the party, and basically it's like the Viking rap battle, epic rap battle of all history, where they're basically dissing each other. And Loki tells the truth about each god. And it was Frigga I believe it was Frigga who stood up. Yeah, and she said if Baldur was here, he'd basically I can't remember what she said, but she would basically he would have open a can of whip ass on Loki. So there we go with this kumbaya kind of god sitting by the fire with a guitar and just smoking a doobie and wouldn't it's like, hey man, I'm a pacifist. No, Baldur, fuck that. That that is not it at all. And so he could be dealing with a god of cleansing and removing of negativity, but this sweet virginal virgin lambskin is not doing it for me. But he is kind and he is wise and he is approachable as a god. So here it goes. I do gotta say this. So let's go to Saxo Grammaticus. Let's do Saxo Grammaticus first, since that was obviously first published. Saxo Grammaticus paints the gods in a shitty light. He takes pop shots at any time he gets his chance. So Baldur and Hother, those two guys, yeah, they don't go. They go, oil and water kind of thing. And the whole the whole big epic fight was because of the hand of Nana. So let's just look, I'll just throw in my interpretation. Baldur, the god who sees, he represents the light half of the year, where Hother is the darker half of the year. And Nana, you know how the two forces of nature fight each other, and the goddesses takes the hand of the victor. Well, in this story, the ultimate fight is between Baldur and Hother. And Hod, Hodr, Hother, sorry. And to sum things up, the only thing that can kill Baldur, and he's called Baldurus, and Hodor's Hodorus, and Odinus. It's putting a Latinized name to everything. So Baldurus fights Hodorus, but the only thing that can kill him is a thing called mistletoe, and that's a sword. And basically, somehow it's like a ritual was done where Baldur cannot be hurt by anything but this sword. The ultimate fight happens. Hodor stabs him in the heart. He falls dead. A stream comes out of him. I want to emphasize the stream comes out of him. Not blood, but water. And the funeral, it's like one sentence only, pretty much one line only. And basically how he's buried is in a mound. He is not cremated in the story. He is buried in a burial mound. The end. Baldur is buried in a burial mound. The end. Not a big thing, but Snorri Sturluson put like a whole big thing. Snorri Sturluson's version is the dream, the Baldur's dream. Baldur has nightmares for several nights of him dying, and that it will be the beginning of Ragnarok, the epic battle. And that's why I don't put a lot of stock in Ragnarok of what Snorri Sturluson puts into. Because Snorri turns this guy, he's not a warrior like he was with Saxo Grammaticus. Why, he's Kumbaya, my Odin, Kumbaya. So it turned him into a Jesus figure. So Frigga, and I'm just going to make this story short, goes everywhere and extracts an oath that you will not hurt him. And apparently, the Jotuns swear an oath. They actually love Baldur. Everyone across the world loves Baldur. Everything. So she extracts an oath from everything except for mistletoe, either because she did not think it was a harm or because it was too young to extract an oath. So, of course, everyone about Baldur is now invincible. So, of course, I'm invincible and I'm bored. But all the other gods are bored. I know. Let's throw things at me. So, of course, the gods were delighting throwing shit at him. Everything's averted, right? But Loki was like, don't like this. I gotta stir shit up because, Snorri Sturluson turned me into the devil. Why not? I'm Satan, apparently. So anyways, he's bored. And he transforms himself. He shapeshifts into Fulla. And he goes to Frigga. Hey, what's going on? Well, everyone's having a party throwing things at my son because he's invincible. Well, how is that? Well, I extracted a promise. Except for one thing. Oh, what is that, Frigga? Mistletoe. So, Loki goes to make his plan. And if you know anything about mistletoe, here's a hint of why Snorri Sturluson makes shit up. Because you can't make a fucking dart out of mistletoe. How the fuck are you going to take a plant that has no wood and turn it into a fucking dart or spearhead? Because apparently Snorri Sturluson didn't know shit about mistletoe because mistletoe didn't even grow in Iceland, people. Fun fact, it grew somewhere else, but not in Iceland. So apparently Loki got mistletoe, made a dart out of something that you can't make a dart out of. But, let's humor people, because I challenge anyone to make a dart out of mistletoe. It is a fucking parasitic plant that grows on trees. There is no wood to it. There is nothing hard about mistletoe. So how can you turn it into a fucking dart? So this is great. This is great. And I just love it when people eat it up and don't even think about it. I mean, okay, so he must have gotten just turn mistletoe, which was actually the name of a sword, but let's make it into a plant. So he goes to the gods, he has all this time, and he found this because he was told it grew west of Valhalla, wherever that west was. He finds a mistletoe, he makes a dart, and he goes to Hother, why are you not participating? Well, because I'm blind and I can't see. Well, here, let me help you. And he grabs his hand and he guides his hand and he throws the toe dart right into the heart of Baldur. And of course, Baldur gets killed by, a really soft plant named mistletoe and dies. And a funeral pyre where he's not burned. When he's not buried, he's burned. Interesting. A lot of people forget to leave this out. Is that not only his prize horse, is put on a pyre to be burned, his ship, and his wife just happens to die of a broken heart, so she's put on. Nana's put on, and then, as the funeral pyre, before it's lit, Odin mumbles something into his son's ear, gives him Draupnir, which every certain amount of days, 9 days, it makes its own copy. Was it 8 days? Well, every certain amount of days, it makes its own copy of himself, which is supposed to be endless wealth. Gives it to Baldur. Fire is lit, and his servant, Baldur's servant, which is this little gnome character named Lit, he runs in front of Thor, and Thor literally kicks Lit into the fire where, Lit is really lit now. Thor kicks him in, but they couldn't get the fiery boat to go to get in. So, of course, they get this giantess who may actually be Angerboda in another form, who rides on this giant wolf, and she gave it to the gods to hold. They couldn't hold, so they killed the wolf. And it really quakes the earth by moving the funeral pyre, in which Thor wanted to take his mighty Mjolnir and crush her skull, which he was held back from doing. And it was this whole big thing. And here's the thing. The crying part. Remember I told you hold on to the stream part with Saxo Grammaticus? Everyone cried for Baldur. Which they were told to cry to bring him back. Because, Hermon was told to ride for 9 days and nights he rode his horse to Helheim. He meets Baldur, and he's not suffering at all. He's at a table in guest of honor next to Hel, having a great old feast, and he seems to be happy. And he greets Hermod, and he gives message to Odin that he's okay, and he said to give back Draupnir to Odin. But Hela said, if everyone cries for Baldur, I'll give him back. So tears of the gods, symbolism again for agriculture with the rain. As Baldur, when he dies, a stream of water comes out of him, a river of water, stream of water, and then you have the tears of the gods fertilizing everything with the rain, the fertilizing rain. So we see him now, we see a little bit more about him. We see him dealing with rain, with agriculture, with the growth of the land. So everyone cries, even the Jotuns cry from him, because they miss him, they love him, because he's Norse Jesus. So everyone loves him, except for one. Loki was said to shapeshift into Thok, which is translate as thanks. Why would her name be translate as thanks? Let Hel keep what she has. He has done nothing for me alive or dead. So Baldur cannot return because Thok would not cry. But didn't Loki have to cry? I mean, in his original form, everyone's supposed to cry. It didn't say Loki didn't cry. I mean, he had to probably cry and then shapeshift himself to something and didn't cry. So Hel keeps what she has. And it makes you think, why did Loki do this? Did Loki want his wife, his daughter, to have a husband and be a wife? And someone to help co-rule? I mean, you gotta have a male and female, right? In some of these stories where, eventually a male comes and takes over the kingdom or shares the kingdom. Whatever reason, Loki has Baldur in the underworld. But, hey, it brings up, it rolls into the events of Ragnarok, the end of the gods, the twilight of the gods, and at all said and done, Loki's gone, Odin's gone, Thor is gone, Fenrir is gone, a lot of them are gone. Well, Baldur comes up again. Well, thank you, Loki, because now we have a new cycle, right? Interesting fact where we get, why was Loki bound in a cave? Well, some believe it was right after what Hodor did. But Hodor is punished. But why is Loki not punished by death? Well, in Saxo Grammaticus, he didn't have anything to do with it. But in Snorri, he's the only one that he guided the hand. It wasn't his hand that killed Baldur. So he's bound in a cave. It's usually happened because of Loki's Senna. And he does admit what he did. And in Loki's Senna, he does bring out horrible truths about the gods, painful truths. He paints their misdeeds on an art of poetry, through his words of poetry. So Odin did not kill his son, Hoder, who happened to be the brother of Baldur. He tricks this giant Ringda, who did not want to sleep with him. So basically, he had her tricked. A woman came and said, "Hey, in order to administer healing, I have to have you chained up." So he has Ringda, the giant, chained up. Basically, Odin rapes her, and she becomes pregnant. She gives birth to Vali, who will not comb his hair or wash his hands into the deed of killing his brother, his half-brother. And he does. He takes vengeance of Hoder, in which he goes to Helheim and hangs out with Baldur. Seems like all is forgiven. And after that, Vali kills Hoder. So now, 2 sons of Odin are in Helheim. And so let me throw my interpretation on it. Dark takes over light, as we see in this. So it's the end of the summer, and Hoder conquers, and eventually light will come back. So now we have the dark. We're going to use a little Christian interpretation. We have the dark side of the year where, the end days. And after the end days, of course, we have Jesus returning, right? So sort of we have Baldur returning. But if we'll look at more of a pagan thing. You have the god of light facing the god of dark. We have the god of summer facing the god of darkness. Pour the hand of the goddess. The blind god. Hoder is the blind god. And if you look at Iceland in winter, it's dark. It's cold. The days are short. And the skies are blotted out by dark clouds and snow, thick snow. So that's what it represents, the god of darkness, the blind god, where it's blinding winter. And the god who can see, who is the god of light, where Hoder is seen with brown eyes and dark hair, and he's blind. And again, he's blind, but yet he has brown eyes. But you get the picture. Blonde hair, and he's shining white. So he's definitely the light half of the year. He's definitely summer. And we have 4 seasons where I'm at. So spring and summer would represent Baldur, and fall and winter, Hoder. So let's talk a little bit about Snorri. Well, Snorri was a politician in Iceland, and he wanted to unite, and he had a reason to write these things down. He's Christian. He wants to throw Icelandic influence, and he wants to unite Iceland and Norway. He wants to basically have it under the crown of Norway, and he wants to become a Jarl. And he basically is one of the conspirators to become a Jarl of Iceland. It just didn't work out that way. Eventually the king's men, found him in a basement and assassinated him. Yes, Snorri. Oh well. But Snorri was a politician. Snorri was a politician. He was a Christian. He had his reasons to do what he did. Saxo Grammaticus, again, Christian and influence, had to do what he did. So, and it was King Haakon who ordered the assassination of Snorri Sturluson. The the political poet was assassinated because he was a threat to Norway's interest in Ireland. I mean, not Iceland. Sorry, Iceland, not Ireland. Iceland. So in 1241, he was found in the basement and whacked. I kid you not. And again, his pro setter is gonna live forever, hopefully. But anyways, so you see that they had political slants and Christian slants into these things. And Snorri said that, our God should not be worshipped, that you should only worship the one true God. God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit, right? But there we go, of taking Baldur as warrior, take it off him, take his spear and his weapons off him, and turn him into a pacifist. So let's look in between. He is not a pacifist. He is bold, he is brave, he has many kennings. And by the way, Snorri Sturluson associated him big time with Jesus because he gave him many of the same kennings as his Jesus has. Yes, many of the same kennings. And he was Baldur the beautiful, Baldur the kind, Baldur the wise, and Baldur the Lord of peace. And everyone everyone loves Baldur except Loki. But we see why in time Loki becomes the dick and the evil one and this and that and the devil, and he's pure, and he's the most pure and innocent. So I just want people to stop and think. And this is why I don't put a lot of stock into the stories of Ragnarok. Of course, they're part of the stories. I'm not going to shoot it down for that, but it has been Christianized. Come on. It sounds like fucking Revelations in some ways. So Baldur has a ship, and it's called I'm trying to think. Horny. It's all the R's are rolled, but if I don't roll the R's, it's horny. What is horny? And I remember it because horny, like bring horny, but horny. Sorry, but it's a great ship, and its meaning is a ship with a circle on its stem. Circle on the stem. Cross? Anyways, that was his ship. But that could have also, in Snorri's interpretation of things, whatever. Because it's circle on its stem. Be that as may, is his ship. Baldur's Hall actually also sounds very Christian too. And his hall was only where the pure is. Only where the pure things go or so It's what was actual factual among the actual factual among the Viking and pre-Viking, and his horror was Braid the Bleak, which would be Braid the Bleak, Braid the Bleak, and it was the most beautiful and elegant of halls in all the 9 realms. Well, everything was pure and sweet, sugar and spice, and everything nice was there. Now, Baldur and Nanna in Snorri's story had a son, Forseti. Forseti. So, and you know, another story, another kenning for Baldur is the bleeding god. The one that was crucified. Oh, I mean, Baldur, the bleeding god who dies by a mistletoe that pierced his heart, which no way mistletoe can do that, but hey. I mean, take a look at what mistletoe is. And Famous and Fair, and Baldur the Shining, Baldur the Bright. So in Saxo Grammaticus, Nanna and Baldur never had any relations that way. So he did not have a son by her. So again, it depends on who you believe in, but the most famous one is by Snorri Sturluson. But please, please, please keep an open mind of our gods. Now, things to feed him. What are some other things that you can give to Baldur that he would like? Definitely mead. Mead is a good offering to him. And other things would be ale, beer. Usually his foods are like yellow, but you don't necessarily have to stick with that. But usually people give him yellow and golden things. So definitely mead, beer, ale, IPAs. If you want, you can give him red wine to represent blood, but you can also give him the champagnes and yellow wine. And of course, some of these are not traditional. Honey cakes, cornbread, because that's yellow. And that's corn was not ever native to anywhere but the Americas. Cakes, so candies, and of course always fresh water. Breads. You can give him, if you want to stick with the yellow spectrum, I would say yellow cake. But these are just some of the offerings that you can give this god. Honeycombs, honey candy, and services that you can do for him and in his honor is to help someone who is mourning a loss of someone that they loved or cared about. To, respect graveyards and cemeteries, to clean up around it and in it. To be respectful of cemeteries and not defile it. I mean, not pissing on tombstones, which you shouldn't do anyways. I mean, or breaking them, to actually protect them. And being a caretaker of a cemetery is also a way to honor him. People say do not place mistletoe on his altar because mistletoe again, the sword, and mistletoe, the herb, the parasitic plant, I should say, on his altar. But yet people associate mistletoe with Baldur's roll of dead. Now for Seti, he is a god to fix injustices. He's a god that deals with justice. He is a god that deals with the law. And he intervenes in times of injustice. Nana is also said to reside in Helheim with him because she dies of a broken heart. So she's with her beloved once again. So then why worship her? Well, why not? And some people dismiss Baldur because he's basically to them useless. Oh, to be honored because he was Odin's, beloved son. But other than that, people like, why worship him? Which is a great loss, It really is. So Baldur can also be used to help a soul to cross over, to protect the dead on their journey, and to remember our ancestors who have gone before us, and remember our loved ones, being human or animal. So what else can I talk about this god? He will deal more with right action. But according to Saxo Grammaticus, it seems like he fights for the hand of a woman. Fighting for love. Fighting for the things that you love. Fighting for the things that you feel is right, but also whether it's selfish or unselfish. But I like to see my God in between, a cross between Saxo Grammaticus and Snorri Sturluson. But I don't like to, again, I don't like to see him as a dick. But then it's like, if you take Snorri Sturluson, his wife is Nana. If not, it's Saxo Grammaticus, his wife is not Nana. So anyways, I know it's a little bit confusing. And some people also associate purple with him. But that's not a major thing. But I like this because when I heard, purple and yellow, well, this looks perfect. And you see, he is. Here we see him brave and gallant. And he's got the blonde hair. He's got the white look. Gallant looking, strong and beautiful and handsome. And he's got some money. He's got some sway over that prosperity and good fortune. And he's here that he can protect you and shield you and fight for you. So Baldur is like the light that breaks through winter. He is the warmth of the changing of season from winter to summer. He is that of the spring and summer. He is the warmth. He is also said one of his elements, of course water, apparently, but also that of fire. But he also, as water is important to life and water is important to agriculture, where the gods cry for him. And there is different, like, poetic things of putting things of saying sky shield is the sun, and trees were humans, and you see the tears of the god dealing with. I gotta turn my phone off. Water. Or maybe rain, tears of the gods of rain. And the water that came out of him in Sax Grammaticus is streams and dealing with pouring with life. But either way, he is the dying God. And he is the God who resurrects, apparently. But he deals with life and death. So I really hope I was able to talk a little bit, on this, because I did talk about this subject with Loki on my Loki presentation, and Charlie slept through this whole thing like a champion. What a champ! You're such a champ. He slept, and I did not have any interruption. Wow, no destruction or craziness. So, what else can I really talk about him? Like Saxa Grammaticus made them human. That Nana was actually a princess, daughter of King Geir, a king of Norway. So this, in that story, despite the support he got from Thor and Odinus, Baldur still lost the Hotherus to marry the beautiful Nana. We see that in Snorri Sturluson's Prosetta the Gylfaginning, we see things dealing with Baldur. Ringhorny is actually Ringhorn, or the ship, as I described it before. So we see Baldur dealing with allure and purity and beauty. We see him dealing with forgiveness and kindness and mercy. Pretty much the Norse Jesus. So, depending on how it was translated, Loki crafts a spear or a dart with the mistletoe spear head with mistletoe. You can't even craft shit out of mistletoe. You can't craft a spear out of mistletoe. You can probably decorate your Christmas tree with mistletoe. But, yeah. So, we see that he is highly loved by everything, except for Loki. That's in Snorri Sturluson, not in Saxo Grammaticus stories. So we have two different stories about who he is. And, Mistletoe is of course dealing with Christmas and Yuletide. And I guess I got a little over myself. Of course, mistletoe is toxic. It could, it's, you know, just be careful of you and your pets or your children of it. But I kind of think that Snorri didn't know what mistletoe, really understood what mistletoe was. So, anyways, uh, thank you for watching my presentation. If you got this far, you're a champion. Thank you so much. I know sometimes I can go blah, 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 and bore the shit out of people. I hope I didn't bore you. If you like this, please give me a thumbs up. It really helps my channel. Comment. If you comment, I will try to respond to you, or at least react to it ASAP. Please adopt an animal instead of shopping. I understand people want that purebred, and you can also look up purebred up in Pet Finder and see one in a shelter. But you know, mixed breeds are just as beautiful. They're just as friendly. And purebred, sometimes they have issues, you know. But anyways, I'm not saying it's bad, but sometimes they come with some genetic problems. But of course, get purebred if you want. I mean, from a shelter, why not? But think of adoption before. Think of adopt instead of shop. Take care of your animals. Take care of yourself. You know, remember, all because that animal is missing an eye or missing an ear or missing a tail doesn't mean it's not beautiful or not beautiful inside. And remember, when you go to some of these shelters, some of them are kill shelters, and just remember that animal that's missing an ear or missing a tail is the one that's going to get euthanized if you don't save them. But I'm glad that there are many shelters that do not euthanize. But I've heard people saying, I would never adopt from a shelter that euthanizes that animal. Well, then that animal never gets adopted and gets euthanized. And I totally respect, you know, helping shelters that don't euthanize. But I'm just saying, if you can, adopt a black cat or adopt a black lab or a chocolate lab, because those are the one, or what's the other breed? Retriever, a black retriever, or the black lab. For some reasons, those are the ones that get put down most. And full purebred pit bulls, or also, or if they look more pit bull than anything else, those are the ones that get scheduled for euthanasia. And then cats, black cats are the ones that or of all the cats get euthanized the most. And it's fucked up because we say it's bad luck. They're not bad luck, you know. Anyways, thank you for listening to my blah blah blah, and thank you so much for watching. As always, I'm Lady Calmer, and blessed be.